I am thrilled to be here today and joined by Charisse Hughes, Global Chief Growth Officer at Kellanova, formerly Chief Growth Officer at Kellogg, to talk to us a little bit today about data, future of AI, what it means for their business and for their partnerships. Thank you so much for joining us, Charisse.
Thank you for having me, Melissa.
So tell us a little bit about what you've been up to lately. I know it hasn't been busy at all, just a couple of things in your world over the last few weeks. Tell us about Kellanova and how this sets you guys up for the future.
Sure. So many of you may or may not know that on October 2nd, the Kellogg company that you are all familiar with actually spun into two companies. One, Kellanova. So Kellanova is the largest, fast-growing snacks-oriented business, and the other, WK Kellogg Co., which is the North America cereal business. And so I am the Chief Growth Officer for Kellanova. We have set forth a new mission and vision, which is to be the best performing snacks-led company. Very excited to get going on that, and data and analytics and all of the conversations that we're having around strategies for our brands are relevant as we become Kellanova. So that has the excitement in my world. And so starting a new company that has a deep legacy, a 117-year legacy, but doing it in a very new way. And if you don't know, obviously many of you probably know that Nova is the Latin word for new, and Kel is a nod to our legacy. So the two together form Kellanova.
Very exciting. Sounds very busy as well.
A little bit.
And we're here to talk, like I said, about data and AI. Fun fact, Charisse, did you know that AI was invented about last November?
Oh, that was fast.
Kidding. Most of you know that at Google, we've been working with this technology for quite a long time, nearly a decade, and we have it baked into many, many of our products. Charisse is going to talk a little bit about how we think about the different types of AI, both sort of on the predictive analytical side, and then, of course, on the generative AI side, which is, I think, what we see most often in the press these days. I'd say we think at Google the former, so on the predictive and analytical side, continues to still be the most relevant for marketers and important for them, given just how complex the consumer is today, how hard it can be to find them. There's so many options that they have to research, connect, buy. The right message, as we've talked about for so long now, kind of seems like it's a moving target, and it really becomes harder to meet the consumer where they are. That can be seen as a problem, but I think it's also a hugely unexpected opportunity if you're willing to be agile and work with these large language models and be agile with your budgets and your targets to find them. So I think it's a big opportunity to combine your expertise with AI, so combine your expertise as a marketer to drive profitable growth. So super excited to be here and talking about this. Charisse, when you think about predictive or generative AI, what are your main areas of focus today, and where does Kellanova plan on leaning in more in the next 12 months?
Yeah, so when I think about predictive versus generative, from my standpoint and my understanding, the predictive side is much more about kind of using these models and algorithms based upon past history, and then thinking about how you apply that to future behavior, future predictions. And so we have spent quite a bit of time on the predictive side within Kellogg and now Kellanova, versus the generative side, which is much more about creating net new, creating the future, creating novel, creative copy, messaging, blog posts. Sort of thinking about what humans would historically have done, and then leaning into that from a more creation standpoint. We have spent so much energy and time really leaning into our data. We have quite a body of first-party data, upwards of 40 million households We've been at this for over 10 years, so one of the first in CPG to really invest in first-party data, and now using that first-party data to understand better, how people are shopping, which of our brands they really love. On the Kellanova side, our brands are, Pringles and Cheez-It and Pop-Tarts. So really getting a sense for how those consumers are shopping across those brands, but for which occasions, and then really nailing the messaging based upon their affinities and purchase habits, et cetera. So when I think about, other ways that we're using the predictive space is really leaning on partners like you guys, but also partners, whether it be around culture, to identify the right partner for our brands. If we recently partnered with one of our PR agencies that has this culture compass, which is pretty impressive because it's able to mine all social conversations and online conversations to help us understand which are going to be the right collaborations that we should be pursuing based upon our business objective. We want to reach a Gen Z audience, but we also want to do so with mass appeal. So how do we do that? So we've been leveraging partners from that standpoint, leveraging partners to innovate in the flavor space, as it relates to creating new products and foods and bringing those to market. And we've also been doing quite a bit in the supply chain space around digital twins. So getting to more productivity of our manufacturing plants. So really, I would say end to end, but not necessarily connected. So our data still sits in silos. So there's quite a bit of work to be done to go beyond kind of this siloed domain-specific approach to predictive analytics and getting beyond to an end-to-end space.
So I think that many people are probably in a very similar situation where testing and iterating, not knowing what they don't know. Where do you need to or want to learn more as an organization?
Well, my title is growth. So that's no small feat. That means I need to understand how do we use the different levers of growth to drive our business. And that, is everything from innovation to, understanding how people are eating during different, eating occasions, snacking, and really just thinking end to end. And so I want to understand, how should I go beyond predictive? You and I talked about this in the green room. How do I organize to go beyond predictive and layer on the generative space? Because I could imagine in the future where I could get much more precise with my brief, because I will understand so much more about my consumer, what media they react to, in what channels, et cetera, which of my brands they eat, in the morning versus in the evening, et cetera. But then how should I be organizing and thinking about within my company to enable that and unlock it, is a big question. What's the talent that I need, and in what areas do I need that talent? How should I be thinking about that? And then, of course, I think the holy grail for marketers now is all about measurement. And so how do we measure and break down the silos within the organization so that we're all, speaking from the same hymn book or singing from the same hymn book, that single source of truth that is so key to making sure that the products that I forecast that I'm going to develop land on the shelf, and that my sales team knows that they're there and my dollars are being spent in that geography, so that I'm eliminating waste, et cetera. So lots of learning to be gained, but I think the organization is one really big question that I have.
Absolutely. What you described sounds like the ultimate goal. I know many people strive towards that. And when I hear some of the things you're talking about with measurement and sort of everyone looking at the same dashboard and set of metrics to dial up and dial down things in different places, I think data and the importance of data. We know Kellanova's headed towards a more full funnel approach. What data did you utilize to help inform that new direction, and how are you guys adapting your strategy around first-party data and data from partners like ourselves and others to help drive success?
Yeah, I mean, I think we are working really hard to get a single view of the customer, which is, if you think about all of the different places that consumers buy food, so from channels standpoint, grocery to online, to convenience stores, our data is in so many different places. So thinking about how we kind of harmonize that data and get quality data that is available when we need it, but also very clean and accurate, is a big focus of ours. And so we've instituted a data scorecard, a data quality scorecard, which is really helping us to get more clean data and available data for our capabilities. We are also, as I said, leveraging so many different partners to get to the space. And in terms of effectiveness, we have really invested heavily in creative effectiveness, as well as, on the other side, media and targeting effectiveness. So on the creative side, we have been leveraging a partner that is, really helping us score our creative so that it lands in platform and it is fit for purpose. We're also leveraging a partner that's helping to, use creative analytics so that, we are optimizing our creative and connecting more deeply with consumers on the message, on, whether it be a, emotional message, or the right CTA for that right environment. So working very hard to leverage that first-party data, making sure the data is quality data, and it's available when we need it, but then taking that and transitioning it into the right conversations for the right consumer.
And is that something that AI is helping to evolve? And if so, how?
It certainly is helping because we understand our consumer so much better than we ever did. And we're just getting smarter and more precise in our targeting. We're getting smarter about understanding, how we connect with that consumer. And so, yeah, so much more effective with AI. And we talked a little bit about some of the partners that we're using and the work that we're doing with you guys in terms of expanding the audiences, whether it be through your match. We have brands that the consumers are so aware of. So whether it be Pringles or Cheez-It or Pop-Tarts, you all know those brands. But our biggest challenge remains being top of mind when it's time for you to purchase. And so using platforms like YouTube to get to consideration and then validate that, those messages are landing, but then driving that return on investment is really important. So the measurement piece, once again, becomes key.
Great. So you're living firsthand the creation of a new company. What advice would you have on how an organization can better knowledge share, break down silos, and sort of unify around data?
Yeah. So we at Kellogg, and now Kellanova, is a pretty decentralized organization where we have multiple regions and a center team. And about a year ago, we reorganized the company at the center and built an advanced analytics team. And the idea here was that with our regions being very empowered because they're all P&L holders and owners, that we were having sort of a very sort of sporadic approach to driving our predictive analytics and leveraging data analytics within our company. And what that meant is that we were sort of learning in silos. The data was sitting in silos. We were learning in silos, and there was little sharing that was happening across the organization. And so we built a center team. And the center team's remit was, number one, help us think about what our technical capabilities are. Where is our data? How much data are we buying? Is it, what's the quality of that data? But also to bring, the organization together, unite it around the right use cases that are going to be the most important ones to drive the business outcomes that we want to drive. So is it, about personalization within marketing, or is it, having a cohesive approach to MMM, or is it, about making sure that we have the right assortment that lands, in the right retail environments. So all of those questions and sort of thinking about prioritizing those based upon business value. We also brought together sort of all of the leaders across the advanced analytics, different domains, so RGM, full funnel marketing, omni-commerce across the company, and we brought leaders from every region. And we did that to talk about what have you done, what's worked well, can we share those learnings, and then to mobilize around, okay, let's prioritize our use cases and the value so that we can go after it in a much more coordinated way and in a much more transparent way. And as I said, have a single source of truth that we're using to measure results, outcome, and to enhance and to iterate on that learning.
Great. I love that. I think there's probably nothing more important than making sure you've got the right stakeholders bought in, unified, particularly at the most senior level, like you mentioned to me earlier, at the C-suite level, trying to understand, everybody sort of swimming in the same direction, right communication strategy, right metrics, and learning agenda for path forward. So thank you so much. Thrilled to have you join us, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Charisse.
My pleasure as well. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.